Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our advanced Bible study night, Tuesday night, October 3rd, 2023. What I'll be dealing with is it's called a Global Fertility Act. I want to go into it. It's some stuff they was doing behind our back. It was passed at the same time in 2019. They had a big uproar about 2019 being 400 years over in America and all that. So anyway, go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have a lot of videos. Excuse me. They connect a lot of dots for you, for those who are seeking the truth. If you like what you're hearing and receiving on the channel, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Okay. For those that want to support the channel, you can check out the Cash App out at the bottom of the screen. Okay. So with that being said, shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening. Welcome to our Israelite Advanced Bible Study. And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. And by that, I mean we don't subscribe to the New Testament. We don't subscribe to Jesus Christ. We deal with the Tanakh, which is the Old Testament, the so-called Book of Remembrance, and we deal with the Torah. First 5 books of the Old Testament. This deal with our law and our culture. Okay. So we're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, the Psalms. We'll do some current events, and then we'll go into our need to know information, and we'll open up for some Q&A. Then we'll go into the topic for discussion, which is this Global Fertility Act, which is passed in 2019. Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts. And Yahweh, our creator, and all that they're doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great mercy and your great power and wisdom. And we're charity waiting for your powerful deliverance of the people of Israel. Oh Lord, you have given us insight into the scriptures of our forefathers. And you, oh Lord, has directed us to who you are and your role in the goings on of heaven and earth. Oh Lord, you spoke to your prophet Isaiah, and you said that you would help Abraham's seed, that you are scattered. You have completed that promise after this day. And you said, oh Lord, that you would remove the darkness from around us. Tarry not, oh Lord, for latter days are here, when we are waiting and watching for you. Peace be unto you. Okay. So with that being said, read the psalm. Okay. Okay. I'm going to read Psalm 44. It's former deliverances and present troubles. It's by David to Korah, one of the chief musicians. We have heard with our ears, O Lord, O God, our fathers have told us what work thou did in their days, in the times of old, how thou didst drive out the heathen with thy hand, and planted them, how thou didst afflict the people, and cast them out. For they got not the land in possession by their own sword, neither did their own arm save them, with the right hand, and thine arm, and the light of thy countenance, because thou had a favor unto them. Thou art my king, O God, command deliverance for Jacob. Through thee will we push down our enemies, and through thy name will we tread them under that rise up against us. For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me, but thou hast saved us from our enemies, and hast put them to shame that hated us. In God we boast all the day long, and praise thy name forever. But thou hast cast off and put us to shame, and goeth not forth with our armies. Thou makest us to turn back from our enemies, and they which hate us spoil for themselves. That thou hast given us like sheep appointed for me, and hast scattered us among the heathen. Thou sellest thy people for naught, and doest not increase thy wealth by their price. Thou makest us to a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a derision to them that are round about us. Thou makest us a byword among the heathen, a shaking of the head among the people. My confusion is intensely before me, and the shame of my face have covered me. For the voice of him that reproacheth and blasphemeth by reason of the enemy and the avenger. All this is come upon us, yet have we not forgotten thee, neither have we dealt falsely in thy covenant. Our heart is not turned back, neither have our steps declined from thy way. Though thou hast sore broken us in the place of dragons, and covered us with the shadow of death, if we have forgotten the name of our God, stretched out our hands to a strange God. Shall not God search this out? For he knoweth the secrets of the heart. Yea, for they seek, or for thy sake are we killed in the day all day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Awake, why sleepest thou, O Lord? Arise, cast us not off forever. Wherefore hidest thou thy face, and forgettest our affliction and our oppression. For our soul is bowed down to the dust, and our belly cleaveth unto the earth. Arise for our help, and redeem us for thy mercy's sake. So that was Psalms 44. Former deliverances and present troubles. Anybody got comments on that? Okay, I just want to shine a light on something. This is verse 2. It says, how thou didst drive out the heathen with thy hand, and planted them, and how thou didst afflict the people, and cast them out. Verse 3, for they got not the land in possession by their own sword, neither did their own arm save them with thy right hand, and thine arm, and the light of thy countenance, because thou had a favor unto them. Thou art my king, O God, command deliverance for Jacob. And through thee will we push down our enemies, and through thy name will we tread them under the rise up against us. So that's what I wanted to shine light on was, he says, first of all, we see that he says, not with our sword did we conquer these people, but with the Lord of hosts sword. So what sword? Michael, sword he got, the glistening sword. So 4, thou art my king, O God, command deliverance to Jacob. Through thee will we push down our enemies, and through thy name. So if we go back to Exodus 23, you see what's going on. It says, Exodus 23. 23 verse 20. Yahweh is on Mount Sinai. He's talking to Moses. He says, behold, I send an angel before thee, to keep thee into the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, obey his voice, provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. So this angel, his name tell you who he is, which is he who is like Yahweh. That's what he banking on, his name. And that's what these Israelites still saying. What his name say. Creator gave him that name. And that's what he banking on. And that's what he keep telling them. For my name's sake. It's just like a father and son. One of them people, they got the same name. One of the boy is Junior. and he riding off his daddy's name. That's what they're saying. Okay? So with that being said, we'll go to our current event.
In the recent past, we're seeing African leaders become more and more emboldened and talk about the global inequity when it comes to finances, how African governments are able to borrow, where they borrow from, the rate at which they borrow at. And there's this other thing that the president of Ghana spoke about, and the president of Kenya reiterated it, credit rating system. While in Ghana, maybe the credit rating systems were in their line in lowering the credit rating score for Ghana. The president of Kenya says we really need to rethink the metrics that they use to lower credit rating scores, because for those of you who are not like in the finance and business world, your credit rating score, but again, like it's just the same. It's just if you have a good credit score personally, you're able to access more money at better rates because you're a good borrower. It's the same thing with countries. If your credit rating score is not great, then nobody wants to give you money because you're high risk. But then what metrics are you using to determine the fact that I am high risk, are you factoring in global economic shocks? Are you factoring in the fact that I'm borrowing at higher interest rates? Are you factoring in that I'm rich in resources more than all of you and you can't exploit my resources, but when it comes to giving me money, you tell me high risk, yet I have something very valuable that you're always coming to me for?
The entire system of risk assessment and the opaque methodologies employed by credit rating agencies and risk analysis needs to be overhauled at the minimum. We must all recall the miscalculation of subprime mortgage risks by these agencies 2 decades ago, which precipitated a financial crisis whose effects reverberate to date. And ask the following question: on what basis should we believe that their methodologies are better at assessing risk in faraway frontier markets like ours, that are far much more complicated to measure objectively than in assessing the value of financial assets in the markets where they actually operate, and which they got so disastrously wrong? If they got it wrong then, I bet you they have it wrong now.
Hello there, peeps. How are you doing? Welcome to another episode of our conversations. My name is Andiro Ganga. I'm a business journalist by profession and a digital content creator. I love coming on here talking to you guys about Black people, Africa, our empowerment, and how we can rise up and take our rightful place at the global stage. Connect with me on social media at Andiro Oganga, where I document my work and my life as a business journalist and a travel content creator. I originally come from Kenya, though I've traveled to different parts of the continent and live in different countries as the years go by because of work and because I want to explore the continent. And I will be in Kenya very soon. And let me know, because while politics is an integral part of the content that I do, I want to showcase different parts of the continent in different ways, in the food, in the people, in the culture, in the music. So let me know when I go back home to Kenya, would you like to see that? Would you like to see authentic Kenyan dishes and how they're made in villages? Would you like to hear stories of just Kenyans who are overcoming adversity? Would you like to hear stories of maybe people from the diaspora who've relocated to Kenya? Now, enough of my daydreaming, because I think just the thought of Africa really excites me, and it's very important that we rewrite the narrative ourselves. And that's exactly what the president of Kenya is doing. He's saying it's time we rewrite some of the things, so how we relate with Africa and the narrative that we spew about Africa, because we are seeing a lot of push and pull between the Western world and the global South, right? The global South being all the other poor guys, So the global north has always dictated the way of doing things, the global order, and the global south almost has to adapt, whether it suits them or not, whether it works for them or not. Take, for example, the recently concluded Africa Climate Summit. America is one of the biggest emitter after China, emitting 14% of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. And the biggest people who pay the price are Africa, because we do not have enough resources, we do not have the technology, we do not have resources for adaptation and mitigation. Then the American envoy in Kenya, John Kerry, comes and says, we're not going to pay. We're not going to pay because we find what you're asking for as punitive. Punitive. When you sat at COP27 and had a conversation and agreed that the biggest emitters are going to contribute 100 million for climate adaptation and mitigation, you change the narrative and you come and say, oh, we can only pay when it's not punitive. How is it punitive yet you're the one polluting the environment and causing drought and causing flooding? I'm currently in Rwanda. There was a landslide in April and May, and currently food prices in the country are really high because of adverse weather conditions. And who gets to suffer from this? Rwandans and Africans as America continues to industrialize and develop. So when you're asked to pay, we're not being punitive. We're just asking you to do your due diligence. If you mess the kitchen, you do the dishes. And that's what President Ruto was talking about. He was saying, because of the global iniquity that you've perpetuated for very many years, now when we fight back, it almost looks like it's East versus West. It's global South versus global North. And it's time we sit back down at the conversation and rethink the direction that we want.
Developed versus developed, rich versus poor, polluters versus victims, and net emitters versus net victims, which complicates and frustrates multilateralism, is the inevitable result of promises not kept, commitments not actualized, resolutions not honored, and principles not observed. Multilateralism has been failed by abuse of trust, negligence, and impunity. A year ago, I stood in this assembly hall to call upon the global community to transform the UN system in order to achieve a consensus-driven, rules-based multilateral system which works for the people of the world in their diversity. It is time for multilateralism to reflect the voice of the farmers, represent the hopes of villagers, champion the aspirations of pastoralists, defend the rights of fisherfolk, express the dreams of traders, respect the wishes of workers, and indeed protect the welfare of all peoples of the world.
Okay, any comments on that? So that was who you was listening to was the last person that was talking was Kenyan president, and so I'm saying that for a reason because we'll get ready to go. But notice they was talking about how the same banking and loan system and all that they have over here, they're using it over there against the Africans. They're using it on both. Like I said, you come to find out the same thing they're doing over here to us, they're doing to those people over there, but in greater numbers, because there's way more of them. You're getting way more repercussions over there than it is over here because of the numbers and the amount of people. So, with that being said, the topic for discussion is the Global Fertility Act, which probably don't know what that is, but we're gonna find out in a minute. So that's what I'll be talking about for a discussion. But right now I'm gonna deal with it in the need to know information. So tight shoes up, okay? Go. Let me get this real quick. Let me see what I got. Okay. Yeah, let me play this first. I missed something. Okay, it's the Kevin McCarthy got That ousted that Speaker of the House
On this vote, the
today.
yeas are 216. The nays are 210. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
Keep them out.
It's over. Kevin McCarthy has been ousted as Speaker. The House taking away its gavel in a vote of 2016 to 210. House is now in recess, so the Democrats and Republicans will meet separately to discuss who they want to have as Speaker. The effort being led by Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, who's fuming over out-of-control spending and claims McCarthy's broken promises. Lawmakers duking it out all day over what Kevin's fate should be.
Think long and hard before you plunge us into chaos, because that's where we're headed if we vacate the speakership.
Chaos is Speaker McCarthy. Chaos is somebody who we cannot trust with their word.
We need a speaker who will fight for something, anything, besides just staying or becoming speaker.
Under Speaker McCarthy's leadership, our House Republican majority has actually defied all odds and overperformed expectations again and again and again.
This chamber has been run better, more conservatively, and more transparently under Mr. McCarthy than any other speaker that I have served under.
If this House of Representatives has exceeded all expectations, then we definitely need higher expectations.
Former President Trump weighing in on Truth Social saying, quote, "Why is it that Republicans are always fighting among themselves? Why aren't they fighting the radical left Democrats who are destroying our country?" Judge Janine.
I'm furious. First of all, we're without a speaker. This is historic. Something like this hasn't happened in well over 100 years. And now what we've got is total chaos when the Republicans are playing out their infighting on national television in a historic way instead of fighting Joe Biden's policies. The one time we are up in virtually every metric as it relates to the Biden administration, you've got the Republicans going out there and showing how dysfunctional they are as Matt Gaetz is engaging in fundraising. And I got to tell you something. I am furious. There's no question that this is something that they have been trying to do for almost 9 months that McCarthy's been Speaker. And the truth is that they've done a lot in Congress. They've gotten a lot of bills passed. The fact that the Senate doesn't want to take them. They've done a lot in terms of oversight. And, you know, now you've got the Democrats. This is a crazy thing. Democrats who hate the MAGA Republicans are now joining with the MAGA Republicans to oust Speaker McCarthy. This is like the devil is in the middle of all of this chaos, and Donald Trump is right. Why are the Republicans fighting with each other like this?
All right, so Chad Pergram is telling us they might not even meet tonight. They may meet tonight. It's all in flux. Greg, you've been following this very closely all day. Your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, well, the thing is I got to leave because they need a speaker. So I just got a call from Matt. We're going to meet for lunch.
Nice.
Yeah, over at his place.
Nice.
You know, they need it's kind of sad because nobody bothered to bring any clarity to this, right? If you can't explain or persuade your point without putting people to sleep, you lose. These parties, we realize, are not mirror images. One wants to win and the other doesn't. They shot themselves in the foot, and by foot, I mean head. It's okay. So they broke promises. I had to go find out what these promises were, right? He promised to use the 2022 baseline numbers as appropriation numbers for this year, and he didn't. Are you angry? He promised not to let bills pass with support of more Dems than Republicans. Maybe he didn't. Are you pissed? I don't know. Not to take up a bill with unanimity among Republicans on the House Rules Committee. McCarthy denies making the two latter promises. So who's telling the truth? I don't know. I'm not sure that I care because I'm with Trump on this. I mean, we're talking about this instead of the border, instead of crime, instead of inflation. Every time the Republicans implode, you just give the Democrats more cover than Gerald Nadler's underpants. We have serious issues right here, right? And instead of uniting and fighting, for the people of America who can sense that this country's going in a really bad direction, we're doing this. I get it. It's a historic event, but it's like one of the few historic events that I don't care about. This has no effect on our viewers. Does it make our streets safer? No. Does it make our...
Okay, yeah. So what I was playing for the people that just came in, Kevin McCarthy got kicked out as Speaker of the House. It's probably tied to what happened with the shutdown. He wasn't saying enough, I guess. Any comment?
Shalom. Yes, sir. Okay, but you know, Trump had already said that he would shut down the government. So these Republicans kicking this man out because he is trying to keep it going. In the meantime, Trump, I hope they convict him over there about them taxes and all, you know, but okay, that's all I have.
Yeah. It looks like it's a setup. They're gonna bring Trump right back in there. That's the way it looks. That's the way it's looking. Because he haven't participated in none of those debates, but he's still leading.
Yes, sir. But also now I think they're coming up with something. If you can get convicted for these tax papers and how he was inflating everything, they're trying to pull up where he cannot run for office.
Right, exactly.
Sir?
Yeah, you're right.
Right. So, but that's it.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So, have anybody ever heard of this Global Fragility Act? Anybody ever heard of that? Yeah. So anyway, it got passed. This act came out at the same time when they passed the in 2019, back when they had the 400-year saying that 2019 was 400 years, and they passed that bill supposedly acknowledging that. So at the same time, they passed this right here. So let's get into it. Check it out. It's crazy.
Peace, family. Vicky Dillon here for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. As you come in, be sure to give us a big thumbs up and share the broadcast. Thank you so very much. It is so important when we do that, dear family, because you help to increase our footprint around the world. And how many of you all know that our voices certainly need to be elevated because the powers that shouldn't be aren't giving you this type of information. It's also so important because you allow us to do it our way and not based on the establishment protocols. Watch this. You all may remember that some weeks back, I revealed a bill that has been making its way through the U.S. Congress. Of course, we have a House of Representatives, a lower house, and then we have the Senate. And then, of course, if everything properly passes by both houses, then it goes to the president to be signed. Well, that last law I told you about was called the Countering Malign Russian Activities in Africa Act. I'm going to say that again so that you can research it yourself. It's called the Countering Malign Russian Activities in Africa Act. And it's already passed the House of Representatives. And I told you that I would keep an eye on it because it's actually been going on for a couple of years. But I brought that to your attention because it essentially basically, based on many of our interpretations and other experts, gives America permission to basically punish African states if they work with Russia. Well, unfortunately, I want to tell you about another U.S. law that you may or may not know about. Listen very closely. The Council of Foreign Relations is considered to be sort of a go-to think tank, and they have influence in Washington, D.C. They have the ear of congresspersons when they get ready to make laws.
Edomite.
They put out a piece, which caused me to do more research on the actual act that I read about, that says, coastal West Africa has historically ranked low in the hierarchy of U.S. interests. However, increased instability in the region would erode decades of U.S. investment, listen, in humanitarian and development goals, and possibly diminish the appeal of Western modes of political and economic governance to the advantage of alternative modes promoted by countries such as China and Russia. By the way, this piece was written some months ago. For those reasons I just stated, the State Department, under the provisions of the 2019 Global Fragility Act, also known as GFA, family, you know I'm not making it up because I'm giving you the receipt so you can research it. It's literally called the 2019 Global Fragility Act. Selected 5 coastal West African states. Y'all listen. Benin, Ghana, Guinea, Ivory Coast, and Togo as a priority region to receive special attention and assistance over the next 10 years. Family, if you look on the map at that region of countries, don't tell me you can't see a possible connection with what's going on right now. Keep listening. It says several factors put the coastal West African countries at risk of political volatility, intercommunal and criminal violence, and armed conflict. Political leaders in coastal West Africa have yet to establish popular and consistent norms. Listen to the U.S., this U.S. think tank that has the ear of Congress. They said that these West African states, what? They haven't established popular and consistent norms of political behavior necessary for legitimacy and stability. The U.S. foresaw some of these. Listen, these economies are unable to meet the collective needs of the populations that are doubling roughly every 20 to 30 years and are increasingly young. What's the youngest, one of the youngest continents on the planet?
Yeah, I want to stop right there. Now, I told you over and over again how that's Negro land from Israelites, right? Well, let's look at that. They noticing all this. They've been watching it, and they know about the prophets. They got the prophecies. So look at this. I just read this the other day. Read it again. So let me get it. Okay, yeah. Get to 38. Check this out. You tell me if this ain't crazy. We sitting over here sleeping. So it says, I'm in Ezekiel 38. We was talking about God and Magog, right? And then once they get ready to deliver us, Most High deliver us out here, he got us in a certain place. Then they decide to come against us again, right? So it says right here in 38 and 8, after many days, talking about Gog and Magog, thou shalt be visited in the latter years, thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but is brought back out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, and thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Thou, thus said the Lord God, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall a thing come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither walls nor gates. So we've been delivered. After all the hell we've been through, he delivered us. They want to come back again, do what they've done on the West Coast in doing transatlantic slave trade. They got it on their mind to do it again. But look what it says. To take a spoil and a prey, and to turn thy hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle, goods, and dwell in the midst of the land, right? 13. I showed you the other day. These Enoch's These Enoch children, descendants. I mean, not Enoch, but it's Abraham's descendants by his second wife. He could, right? Look what it say. Sheba, Dedan, and the merchants of Tarshish, and all the young lions. See that? Young men, ready to fight, says, young lions thereof shall say unto Gog and Magog, art thou come to take a spoil, as thou gather that company to take a prey, and to carry away silver and gold, and to take cattle and goods, and to get spoils. So they're gonna come up to, and cut them off, these young lions. So she's showing you right here, and created this act called the Futility Act, and it's specifically targeting West Coast Africa. The activities going on over there, and you think it's a coincidence? Now all of a sudden these people are raising up and kicking out these Europeans. They know what's going to happen. They see all this stuff in place. But like I said, notice they notice it's young. Population is young men. So we're gonna see in a minute. They worried about the young men. Watch this.
Is it the continent of Africa? Listen, family. It goes on. The concept of social contract between governments and their populations, as understood in the West, has little salience in the region. The steady deterioration, of security in the Sahel.
That's what's going on now.
In Nigeria,
Mali,
in recent years also poses a growing threat to the stability of coastal countries, underscoring how armed groups can easily exploit the proliferation of weapons and latent fragilities that exist in all West African countries. Y'all, I can't make this up.
So let's look at that. So I showed you that. Let me read it. I don't want to just say it. So I want to read this. So it's after Solomon passed, nation of Israel got split up into two different kingdoms. So you got two ruling tribes. You got Judah, which was David came out of Judah, but you also had Ephraim, which is from Joseph. So let's look at it. Yeah, it's how close we is, man. So check this out. Go to Ezekiel 37. So in Ezekiel 37, it's the prophecy right here. It says it's the restoration of the united Israel. So you got to bring all 12 tribes back together. But notice you got two heads. You got Judah and you got Ephraim. So it says, and I told you, Nigeria is Ephraim. The Nigerians are Ephraim, and a lot of the men around there. So they know that. So it says, the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick, write upon it for Judah. I told you that's one of the ruling heads. And for the children of Israel, his companion. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim. See that? You still got Judeans, like I said, they ain't no nice. And you still got Ephraimite. Most High had a spirit on them, but now he raised that spirit back up. They know that, and they know where they at. So here you go right here. We see that happening. That's what's happening right now. We see it. Ephraim, Manasseh. Ephraim and Judah and all that being raised up. Judah being raised up over here. Ephraim being raised up over there. So check this out.
The GFA legislation directs and funds the Department of State, the DOS, to establish an interagency initiative.
This is 2019 now.
To quote, stabilize conflict-affected areas and prevent violence globally. That's a quote from this act. Now, why am I bringing this up now? The act was from 2019. But Joe Biden's administration is said now to be getting ready to implement it. It's specifically named West Coastal countries. It's specifically named the Sahel, and specifically, family, among other things, this GFA legislation. So
this is a direct violation against the Most High, and it's a direct, Johnny, you say prophecy. So what you think is gonna happen? Okay, check it out.
That's passed here in the United States, and it's said to be getting ready to be implemented under the Biden administration, is sitting here making plans for a whole nother continent in many of its states on said continent.
Check this out.
Among other things, it says what? The GFA legislation, and this is a quote from the act. The initiative is meant to, quote, stabilize conflict-affected areas and prevent violence globally. More specifically, DOS, which stands for Department of State, is required to identify priority countries and regions and develop 10-year implementation plans for each. The GFA also directs the DOS to consult with civil society and government actors in affected countries, international organizations, and relevant private, academic, and philanthropic entities as it develops its plan. Some of you were concerned that ECOWAS, that Nigeria's president as head of ECOWAS. Some of you were even concerned that even Ghana, among others, might intervene and prevent the uprisings in the Sahel. As I dug a little bit more into this particular act, it seems as if there's a connection between the United States and those particular countries and or groups that threaten to put down those resistance, those revolutions. Some of you can't believe some of the legislation I've been bringing to you, like when I shared with you years ago, and I shared with you recently as a reminder, that the United States put hundreds of thousands of dollars to the tune of nearly 600,000 just to study Kenyan heterosexual men that might become soldiers, so that they could identify who might be the threat against neocolonialism. Some of you couldn't believe when I brought to your attention, the Countering Malign Russian Activities Act in Africa that's making its way through Congress. Now I'm telling you, literally, about this 2019, listen to the title of it, Global Fragility Act. Tucked away in some legislation, but it's said now to be ready to be implemented under the Biden administration. We know that the United States has refused to call the uprisings in Niger a coup. But that's for legal purposes, because if the United States declares it to be so, she has to stop doing certain types of business there. As I have revealed to you, there is a pipeline that's within that region going through Nigeria, through Niger, I think one or two other African states into Europe. They expedited this pipeline. Some have said there have been some delays on it, but for sure there has been reporting that the pipeline was being expedited shortly after the United States was accused of sabotaging the Russian Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines. We also know that the United States has drones that they have spent millions and millions of dollars to not only build, but to maintain in that region. What are those drones surveillancing? What are those drones doing there? Just giving you a little food for thought. I think it's quite outrageous. It's telling, but I think it's important for me to alert the family around the world, because we know now is our time, and we know that predatory countries are looking for all types of ways to find an excuse to be on your land.
Okay, it's way bigger than that. So anybody got any comments on that?
Shalom, everyone. I have a question.
What's that?
Okay, so I watched this yesterday, right? And so I'm trying to get a better understanding of this because they're saying that this act was created to prevent and reduce violent conflict, right? What they
Right.
call in fragile countries and regions, that's what they call it, right?
Right, exactly.
But the more research I've done on it, it was more like they are really trying to target the resources in Africa.
Right.
And
so you got it.
not okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying I was just trying to get a better understanding of this act and why is the US creating an act for those countries in Africa? Like it's not making any sense to me.
But first of all, you got to understand that it's not the U.S. It's Esau.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? If Jacob ain't ruling, Esau ruling. So
Mm-hmm.
he's ruling the world through the military might in America. That London is the financial part of it, and they got fake Israel as the religious part of it. That's how they ruling the world. Yeah, it's America ain't nothing. All three of those places I just named are city-states they created. So these bankers, Illuminati bankers, are the ones running the world. So they Torah based. You see, all of them they raise them from the time they get old enough to walk. They're dealing with the scriptures, dealing with the Torah, dealing with the Bible. They know what's getting ready to happen. They know what Israelite said, and they know most what I just read. He's gonna raise the spirit of Judah back up, which we see over here, and he's gonna raise Ephraim back up. He's gonna bring them back together. Wouldn't you be concerned if you was Esau?
Okay.
So that's what's going on. It ain't got nothing to do with nothing else. But we all, because we throw it off. We're not connecting the dots. But it's all about their end. They see their end coming, and they know what the Most High prophesied, and they know what Israel said. What they're doing now ain't nothing new. They surveyed us for years before they came and got us on the West Coast.
Right.
In 1619. They was surveying us from Portugal and Spain all the time. They knew, and by the time they was sending explorers in there or do surveillance in the land and all that, they knew just what to do when the time came. And so they still doing it now. But where the trick come in at, you is so ignorant, you trying to come up against prophecy. Like I said, why would you be worrying about the males? You worrying about the males. See what I'm saying? That's who the army. He said he's gonna raise the army up in the last days.
Right.
And that's where they at. You think it's a coincidence? Like I said, you're dealing with West Coast of Africa where Israel at, and these people came from Ukraine. They're not Esau. They Ashkenazis, the Khazarians. They came from Ukraine. So there's the two #1 places, hot spots right now on the earth. That's because that's what the Most High prophesied they was going to be in the last days. Because that's where Esau and Jacob at. That's their home. That's where they was. That's where they located at. And now we see him. He raising them up. Who'd ever figure that? Whoever figured that they'd be they'd have ran France out of Niger. This old bitty chicken shit ass country like Niger. That ran the French out. Come on. That's unheard of. So they know they have the scriptures, and they're looking at them. They're starting to see is exactly what he said is starting to happen. But notice how they're doing it. The same time when you see you passing this old HR 1244, whatever it was, 400 years, same time you passed this. It's just not coming out.
Right. Yes, I was looking at that too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Wow.
There's something.
It is.
And so here goes something right here. I don't know if anybody else got anything on that? Yeah, so check this out. This is getting ready to happen tomorrow, matter of fact. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but let me play it.
All right. So FEMA, and I'm doing this as a public service, FEMA, in coordination with the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, will be conducting a nationwide test of the Emergency Alert System, the EAS, and the Wireless Emergency Alerts, the WEA. Now, when you think wireless, I think of my grandparents. Turn on the wireless. That's what they used to call radios. But no, that's what the federal government now calls your cell phone, wireless. The WEA portion of the test is going to be directed at all consumer cell phones tomorrow. The text message will display in either English or in Spanish, depending on the language settings of the wireless, quote, handset. Okay, I just would like to just point out, no one should be in charge of our emergency alert system that calls your cell phone a handset or a wireless. The EAS portion of the test is going to be sent to radios and televisions. Now, we used to have the EBS, the Emergency Broadcast System. What you're about to hear is only a test. Don't freak out. Well, freak out a little bit, and I'll tell you after the tone goes off if you should freak out a lot or not. We used to have that, and then we'd run a tone. Well, back in the Obama days, they took that away. And now it is initiated from the White House. The White House has its own switch that can take over all radio and television for the EBS. So the president could address you immediately. Look, I have to stop all other communications to communicate to you and tell you the absolute God's honest truth of what's happening. Wow, I feel better. So tomorrow, they're conducting this test. Now, this will be the second test that they've done to all cellular devices. They did one when it first was plugged in. They were like, well, let's go and do a test. Don't freak out, America. And they did a test. And it's been like 12 years, 15 years since we've had a test. Now, for some reason, somebody's like, I wonder if this thing still works. I'm blowing the dust off it. Does it work? Hello, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. I don't know. So they're just testing it tomorrow, and it's perfectly normal. It just hasn't been done in 12 years.
Oh, good. Well, it's always good to keep on top of things. Mm-hmm. You know, like you're supposed to test your fire alarms every once in a while.
I feel good about it.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe it started doing that chirp thing.
Yes.
Like in the middle of the night,
like,
they were asleep.
Do we have to put the battery in? What is it? Yeah.
And then they were walking around like, I don't know, the Pentagon or something, like looking for the one little chirp somewhere they couldn't find it.
What is that?
It took probably 6 years.
And they hit it with a broomstick?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's probably what happened. Now, completely, by the way, that happens tomorrow at 2:20. So if you get a test, you will have to realize it's only a test. Completely
So that's 2 o'clock Eastern time, I think, and 1 o'clock Central.
Unrelated news, as I told you yesterday, the former Soviet Union is also running a test, and they're running it today. Their test is of the emergency, holy crap, get out of your house, only a third of Russia is going to survive nuclear blast test. And they're doing that today nationwide. So I feel good. I feel good. The reason why we have the EBS test or the EAS test or the wireless test, the reason why we have it, it was established, oh my gosh, oh wow, what a coincidence this is. It was established in the Cold War when we realized, hey, we could all be dead in 18 minutes. So let's do a minute-long tone and then come out and say, hey, by the way, we're going to give you some information here, and we're going to spend about 5 minutes maybe telling you all the news. At the end of it, because, well, we debated whether this or not was real, you got about 3 minutes to get your crap together and get on out. So that makes me feel better. Makes me feel better. Makes me not want to carry a phone ever, because I think I'd rather just, you know what I mean? It's kind of like the.
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody heard anything about that?
Yes, shalom. Yes, sir. My daughter was letting my grandchildren know when their phone go off not to be alarmed about it. It's not, you know. She was saying that yesterday that it will go off tomorrow.
Yeah, everybody being warned to turn everything off. Because it's not only on the phones, it's going to be on radio, anything smart, refrigerators, whatever.
Okay, so when it's about that time, you would turn your don't have on your phones or.
Yeah, it's 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock Eastern, and 1 o'clock Central.
Okay.
You know, we got all kind of stuff going on with that. I'm just, you know, we'll see. They saying that it's tied to everybody that received the you know, the jab, and nano, which I talked about before, the nanobots that's inside the body. It's supposedly in everybody. It's in the water. It's in the food, and it actually had it in the, you know, the jab. So we'll see. Okay. Anybody else have any comments on that? Yeah. So if you go back in the past, every time they had a drill, it's always something else going on with it. They had a drill in 9/11, same day when 9/11 happened.
Shalom. So you're suggesting that we cut the phone off before they do it?
Well, I'm just saying that's what I'm hearing from different sources. You know, different people saying that. So I'm just saying what they saying. I mean, I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna turn my phone off. You know,
okay.
That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna see, you know, wait and see what happens.
Well, you know, if you gonna cut yours off, I'm gonna cut mine off.
Okay.
Your TVs, also radios, phone,
yeah.
TVs. It's supposed to last for a minute, 1 minute.
Right.
So
it's going back to it's supposed to be going back. I mean, cut you off. We're going back to like you said, they did this before 12 years ago. What you saying?
Right. And as I was doing some research in that, they were saying it's supposed to last, you know, 1 minute, and it is supposed to be a different type of tone from what we are normally, you know, used to hearing when they sent out the alert.
Yeah, they
So
say it's 5G. Yeah, that's what I was saying. The guy they saying it's 5G. It's tied to 5G, and then they say, you know, they saying that it's not actually a frequency from here. It's another frequency. It's some kind of other frequency. Other wordless frequency.
Yes, sir. Excuse me. One more question. So if our phone is off, then that means that whatever they're doing, it didn't capture these phones. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. That's supposed to be the understanding of it. Yeah. Exactly.
Shalom. Shalom. So when they mention that the the president can stop all if he gets on the radio or TV or whatever, and if you're looking at something, it just automatically come to whatever the president is saying. The gentleman made a joke about that he'll get on in everybody's uh, television or radio would hear his broadcasting. And even if you're on a different channel, all the channels will come to that to the president making a speech or whatever he's doing. Also the radio. I mean, gentleman made a joke about that. Is that something that's they're
No, I
testing to make
think,
happen?
I think that's he was being sarcastic because all it is a, like Michelle was saying, is a frequency they're gonna send out of, like you know how when you have the American processor system back in the days come on your TV and just start making that noise, loud noise, or even with the Amber Alerts, make that loud noise to get your attention.
Yes, sir. Like when they used to sound off at 10 o'clock and the whole, all the televisions will go off back in the day, and they'll have that tone to be on just to shut the televisions off. Oh, okay.
Right, so it's just a tone, it's a vibration or whatever from the frequency. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Got anything? So that's tomorrow. We'll see what happens. But so like I said, I was going to talk about this global fragility act a little more. I'll play a couple videos and then we'll close out. It's something going on with that. But anyway, I'll play this. And then we'll play it.
I'm Ann Rakowski, Assistant Secretary for the Bureau of Conflict and Stabilization Operations at the U.S. Department of State. I'm here today to talk about the Global Fragility Act of 2019 and the associated U.S. strategy to prevent conflict and promote stability.
Why are you so worried about Africa? I don't know.
The law and the strategy give us an opportunity to elevate prevention of armed conflict and prevention of violence, to get ahead of the curve. We're working together across the U.S. government with international partners to mitigate the drivers of conflict and instability in key partner countries and in a region. We're working specifically with Haiti, Libya, Papua New Guinea, Mozambique, and 5 countries within coastal West Africa. We're elevating partnerships, partnering not only with the countries that we've identified as a focus, but within those countries, not only at the national government level, but at the local government level, with civil society, with local communities, with the private sector, and with many others. We're taking an inclusive approach to partnerships. We've conducted consultations with hundreds of stakeholders in the course of developing the 10-year plans under the strategy, and we have every intention of continuing this inclusive approach going forward. In countries, we're working at the local and at the community level. We're focused on empowering the participation of those on the front lines of the challenges that we're seeking to address, women and youth. Those on the front lines are most likely to understand where the solutions may lie to the challenges that we're facing. We're taking a long-term approach. The plans that President Biden submitted to Congress have a 10-year time horizon. We're also committed to adaptation and learning, building a monitoring, evaluation, and learning system under the strategy that will allow us to collect data. With this evidence, we're going to understand how the situation has changed on the ground, where we may want to adapt our plans and policies so that we can iterate and adapt as we go forward. Within countries, we see different types of challenges. We see different types of vulnerabilities. We see different types of resiliencies. So what we're going to see in each place is going to vary significantly. Let me talk for a moment, though, about coastal West Africa, the region with which we are partnering, where we're working with 5 countries. We have a number of objectives in the coastal West Africa region. We're looking to build social cohesion, to advance responsive governance, to create stronger, more responsive and accountable security forces in at-risk communities. We're also aligning what we're doing to the plans of governments themselves who are acting in support of the work that is already underway there. Through these efforts, we hope to see a reduction in the ability of violent extremist organizations and other destabilizing actors to leverage the divisions within at-risk communities. The best strategy to save lives, to disrupt cycles of conflict, and to build lasting peace is to prevent conflicts before they happen. Our national security and our prosperity depend on peaceful, resilient, and stable economic and security partners. The law and the strategy give us an opportunity to apply hard lessons learned of the last 20 years. We can learn from best practices, and we can learn from our mistakes. We're going to learn lessons within the countries where we're working today. We're going to apply those lessons to our efforts going forward as we iterate our plans. We can also take those lessons that we're going to be learning and apply them to other countries and regions around the world. The bipartisan support of Congress, the engagement and support of civil society, the engagement and support of institutions like USIP has been absolutely pivotal to our success to date and will continue to be going forward.
Okay, any comments on that? Okay. Yeah, so you notice how they trying to use these words like Gates was saying about whatever's going on, but it's way bigger than that. That's how they operate. We got one more right here.
The United States government, that is the Biden's administration, has just activated an act that allows it to intervene across the world. This act is called the Global Fragility Act, and this act gives the United States government the authority to intervene in Haiti, Libya, Mozambique, Papua Guinea, and West African countries, including Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Guinea, and Togo. This Global Fragility Act was signed into law by the former president of the United States, that is Donald Trump, in 2019, and since then it had not been activated. Now, this Global Fragility Act gives the United States government the mandate to intervene in these countries, to intervene in peacemaking in these countries. Specifically, it requires the US government to develop a strategy for preventing the drivers of violent conflict and extremism, and to test a more coordinated, cost-effective, and sustained US approach in hotspots around the world. Now, according to this statement, the United States government has just given itself the authority to intervene in peacemaking in these countries. What is more important to me is the intervention that the United States has declared in Africa. In Africa, the United States has specified its authority to intervene in Libya, Mozambique, New Guinea, in Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Guinea, and Togo. And according to what they are saying, is that this intervention is based in a 10-year stabilization plan. And in this stabilization plan, the United States seeks to counter the influence of China and Russia, to be specific, in Africa. I see this Global Fragility Act not as an act that seeks to create peace, to restore peace in Africa or in these other countries, but I see it as a plan to counter the influence of China and Russia in Africa. That means that the United States is bringing its war with the likes of China and Russia into these warring nations. The United States is trying to somehow fuel war rather than restoring peace. It is relying on this Global Fragility Act to some extent, express its hidden agenda in Africa. On the outside, the United States government is saying that it is coming to help countries such as those in West Africa to attain peace, to restore peace in these countries, and to fight extremism, terrorism. But in my view, if you read this Global Fragility Act in details, you will find that United States' main intention in Africa and these other countries is to counter the influence of China and Russia.
Okay. So with that being said, anybody have any comments about anything we talked about? Or any questions before we get off the line?
Shalom. One question, going back to this McCarthy thing. Why would the Democrats, vote with those Republicans to out him when he's the only one trying to, I guess, bridge things to keep things running?
Right. Yeah, it's a joke. See, based on what's been going on the last like 3 or 4 cycles, how they've been at each other's throat, all of a sudden now they coming together the day after the shutdown and they vote this man out. It don't make any sense. It's like the guy was saying, it's total chaos. And then another thing, I don't know if anybody knows, but Biden fell down again today. Anybody know that?
No, sir.
Yeah, he fell down again. Walking just fell down. And now they're saying that it's is he out enough to finish his term, because it ain't, it don't look good.
And I think the biggest thing about them getting him out of there is because if he die or cannot do it, this Kamala Harris, black woman, gonna step up in there, and I think a lot of them want him out because of that.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want him in there. They don't want her to take. They don't want her to, be the first woman president, and then on top of it, the first black woman. They despise Kamala Harris. I don't know where it's coming from, but they got a serious problem with her. Republicans, anyway. Yeah. Anybody else got anything? Everybody good? Okay. I want to say shalom. I'll see y'all tomorrow for our reading through the Tanakh at 8 o'clock.
Shalom,
Shalom.
everyone.
Shalom. Shalom. Shalom.